Question: can the NHS in the UK survive as it is, or can it change to become an insurance-based system? It's a big question, and I've seen a lot of kind of conversations about it on social media, like, oh, we needed to change to a insurance-based system because the current system isn't working. So for all intents and purposes, the NHS does work for what it is there for. Is it under strain? Yes. Does it need to kind of, tighten up some of its procedures to stop kind of money going here, there, and everywhere, a bit of wastage, basically? Absolutely. Can they streamline their processes internally? Absolutely. All those sorts of things can help kind of save money within the whole system, but we've also got to fund it properly. And a combination of all those things can certainly help. One of the big issues that we have, and the reason why it's a bit out of control, is our aging population and population growth as a whole. So we have got a lot more people that are now pensioners and finished working, basically, and in that upper bracket where they're, let's face it, the older you get, the more likely you are to be using the NHS. Not like you definitely are or definitely not. I'm sort of on average, right? Whereas at the other end of the scale, we're having less people being born in the UK, right? So because there's been less people being born and then going into the workforce, there's less taxes being paid to pay for the older generation. Therefore, the funding for things like NHS and stuff like that is not as good as it could be or was years ago. So the funding model needs to kind of be adjusted to take into that consideration, that sort of thing, right? And population changes. We've got a lot of things going on at the moment, and then that would kind of fit in there nicely. A complete overhaul of funding. Now, the change to an insurance-based system, like, say, for example, the US, is a bit scary, to be honest. So, for example, I'll give you an example of what would happen if you've got an illness and your insurer covers you for ongoing medication, for example, that costs a lot of money. When that comes up for renewal, your insurer will get in contact with your doctor or your consultant, whatever, and they will say, hi, can you fill out this massive form? And then once you've done that, send it back, and then we'll assess the patient. So what you've got is your assessment of ongoing medication might stem from the doctor, but actually be decided by an insurer from a financial perspective. So you might be paying in to a scheme, but they're always going to be making money at some point. They want to make money. It's simple as that. That's what insurers do. As far as an emergency goes, if you go in for an emergency, you've broken your arm, you go into an emergency hospital, you get that fixed up. As you come out, they say, thank you very much. Here's your bill for an afternoon stay, all the bandage stuff that you've needed, all the people that are involved in it, admin costs. Here's a bill. Thank you very much. There you go. And then they'll say, have you got an insurer? And you say, yes, I pay into insurance every month. You then take that to your insurer, And then they say, yeah, we're going to pay all of it, none of it, part of it, whatever. You're still obviously paying your monthly costs for that. Now, where it falls down is that those people in that upper bracket who don't work anymore, and also people in a situation where they can't work through disability or whatever, you've got these people here that have a higher need for NHS, what the NHS can provide, but they may not be able to afford the monthly costs of insurance. So I personally went to a insurer to see if I can get private insurance when I stopped working. This was 2018, 19, something like that. And I said, right, here's my situation, filled out a form, blah, 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 sent it over. They said, please give us a call. We can't just quote you over the phone, over the internet. So I spoke to them, and their quote came back as £1,600. And I thought, okay, right. And what does that cover me for? And it's like this, this, and this, and this, and this. But it doesn't cover you for anything that you've already been diagnosed for. And I thought, okay, fair enough. And I said, okay, and can I pay that monthly? And they said, what do you mean monthly? That is the monthly cost. I went, hold on 1 minute. £1,600 per month it would have cost me under insurance to cover me for just normal medical stuff. That's what we're talking about. So what happens then is also they don't have doctors on their payroll. So doctors would need to be paid for somehow. So as taxpayers, we would still need to fund doctors. We would still need to fund an NHS of some sort of ilk for the insurers to go to, because insurers aren't medical experts. So you'd still have to pay for the NHS. So all you're doing is bringing in an insurer next to it for absolutely no reason whatsoever. So there's my situation. I don't think an insurance-based system will work. If it does, all you're doing is inviting companies in to make money, nothing else. And we're all going to be worse off for it. So think about that. If you've got any questions, obviously give me a call. Leave them down in the comments below. And I'll see you at the next video. All right. Bye-bye for now.